Yes.
Ready? We just have 1 minute. I hope we are all back.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Kofi. I saw Kofi here. He already here.
Yes.
So that's good.
Uh, I hope all our participants are back. It would be nice to have our videos on so that I can know we are back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a large group, in fact, when you look at it. It's a large group.
Yes. Or thumbs up, or yeah, if we're back. Great, Eunice. Great. 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 I can see some reactions. That gives me hope now.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we can start so that we are within the time.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for coming back. We now get into our second part of this training today, and we're going to go through a case study, and at some point we'll be having breakout sessions. And this session will be led by Mr. Kofi Ando, who's the Toronto Center program leader. So I don't know if you want to say something, Harry, or I can just hand it over to Kofi.
Yes. Okay, a few words. Thank you, everybody. Welcome back for this session 4. And so I'm going to look at the case study with Coffee about the new government. It'll be very interesting how to, you're going to go about tackle these issues and to provide your views and regarding inclusive insurance and what can be done, what can't be done. And we look forward to learning from you as well. Coffee, you here? The
Yes,
floor is yours.
Harry,
The floor is yours,
thank
Coffee.
you. Yes, thank you, and thank you to Monica. And hi, everybody. Between now and about an hour and a half, we would start one of the first of the 4 cases that we
Mm.
will go through this week. It's on the country of Tralaland. Tralaland, I'm sure, is an imaginary country, but reading about it, I am sure all of you have read the case. It's been made available to you. I'm sure you can relate many aspects of the country of Tralaland to your jurisdictions and be able to begin to compare the challenges and the issues concerning inclusive insurance in your jurisdiction. But in this very first case, we will do an introduction to the country of Tralaland and uh, also take a look at the new government that has come to the country of Tralaland and some new policies that it is proposing and wanting the help of the insurance industry and of course the impact that it's likely to have on the industry and inclusive insurance in all. And so we will go through the key aspects of Thailand. We'll go through a few slides that will give us some intro about the country of Thailand, which I hope we have all read. So this is a small island. It is an island and is a very densely populated one with about 20 million people. Agriculture accounts for about 75% of the GDP of Thailand. And out of the agric sector, the trala bean is the main major product. And there's a company called the Trala Bean Company, which processes the trala bean. And this company processes about 2/3 of the beans, of the trala beans that are produced. We are also told that 25% of the energy in Tralaland is generated from solar, compared to 2%. As things stand, oil will still be needed in the next 20 years or thereafter. And so it's important to take note. It's also important to take note of the main economic infrastructure in Thailand. So the seaport is a very important economic infrastructure. in Trailland. There's a new airport that has just been constructed in Trailland, and that is also an important. And then the bean processing facility is also a very important facility, economic infrastructure you need to take. And then there's a railway line joining the bean processing facility to the port, which is another very important facility. And of course, there are tourist resorts. Trailland being an island with very good weather all year round, is definitely a tourist destination. And so there are tourist resorts around along the beach, and the main beach being Happy Beach, which we have read about. And so the economy of Trailland seemed to be a combination of agriculture and tourism, mainly, if you want to look at it that way. Now, let's look at what's the demographics of Trailland. So main town is the business and government hub. It looks like the capital and where everything takes place. Workers have relatively good levels of income and pensions around main town. It's like the capital where all the administrative issues take place. However, only a small percentage of the population live in the main town area. With well about 80% of the population of Trailland living in rural areas, mostly employed in agriculture. And this is an important issue to take note of. Mostly 80% of the population live in rural areas, mostly employed in agriculture. And combining this with the slide before, most likely growing trailer beans and other subsistence crops. Now, the main town area has a good internet and mobile phone service, but connections are unreliable in the rural areas. And you have to take note that the majority of the population live in the rural areas, over 80% of them. And the mobile phone connectivity seems to be stable and good just around the main town area, where we are told just about 5% of the population lives. And so progress has been made in the gender equality among the younger ages, where education and probably going to school and sensitization is working. But among the elderly, especially the elderly women, often at a disadvantage in terms of access to financial services and access to other formal services. There are some disadvantage. Now, it's obvious that the public servants in Maintown have access to financial services like bank, like pensions, and the seasonal workers less so, because they are only seasonal workers, and so they most likely will not have access, and their insurance literacy is also low. I mean, considering the fact that they are only seasonal workers and mainly tend to work in the informal sector. And so you could see the access to financial and other services will not be as good as will be among the formal sector workers. The climate is warm all year round, and so Trailland is a very good tourist destination where all year round the sunshine. August, September represent traditional start of the hurricane season. Climate change has taken some toll on Trailland, and so there's a belief that climate change has pushed the hurricane pathway up north, away from Trailland. But the others seem to take the view that, well, we live to see. But generally, there is that belief. But otherwise, Trailland has a nice climate and all year round, making it a good destination for tourists. And indeed, reading the case, you see that most people around Happy Beach provide services for tourists when they come around and earn some income from there. There is also some good information on the insurance regime in Thailand, the insurance law, the supervisory regime, and the nature of the structure of the industry itself. There is some very good information on the main companies, main insurance companies, and the lines of products that they offer and where they stand in terms of solvency and market share and their strategic orientations. Some information is provided in there. But reading the law, I mean, on the highlights, reading the case, insurance law in Thailand has been updated in the last couple of years. The Thailand Insurance Authority has been created and has adopted a risk-based approach to supervision, and the cost of insurance supervision is covered by a levy of 1% on Thailand insurers' premiums. So that is how the supervisory authority earns some money to take care of the supervisory authority. There is a poll here on how your jurisdiction supervisory authority earns money to finance the cost of supervision. And we may want to take that. There are just two questions. One, does your jurisdiction charge the cost of supervision to industry? And if yes, how is it calculated? What percentage is it, or how is it calculated? If we can just take the quick poll to see whether, I told you there may be very compelling similarities between Thailand and our various jurisdictions, and this could be one of them. To just, so if we could just take a couple of minutes to take this poll and see how this applies in our jurisdictions. So Monica, can we take this poll?
Yes, yes. Can you
Great.
see the poll on your end? We already launched it.
Okay.
Manoj, can you see the poll?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we all see the poll? Give me a thumbs up if you can see the poll or if you've already taken it. Okay, can
Okay.
see some thumbs up. Great.
Okay.
Let's give it just a minute or so and then. Have we all taken the poll? Maybe thumbs up again and then we can see what the results look like. Okay, great. I think we can just close it now.
Somehow I don't get to see the poll. I don't know what the problem is, but yeah, Monica, maybe you can just run through the results for us and then
Yes, just 1 minute as we check. Sometimes Teams makes it difficult.
yeah.
Let me try. Could you share your screen, Nuria? Let's give it a minute. Some people couldn't vote, but minute. Kofi, I think Teams has failed us, so maybe we could just throw our yeses into the chat. Sometimes Teams
Okay.
can do this to us.
Okay.
We just saw around 7, so maybe we could throw our yes or no or into the chats quickly. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay.
Oh, now we can see around 8. I can see a few people managed to vote.
Okay.
I'm seeing a lot of yeses. I would say coffee majority would be yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then maybe the second part of the question,
Yes.
we could also
How
throw
is
that
it
in the
determined?
chat quickly.
Yes. Hmm.
I see 1%.
Hmm. Yes, 1% of GWP.
2.5%
Hmm.
of gross premium income.
2.5%. Okay.
Yeah, since
Okay.
2004. Interesting.
Yeah.
Zambia,
Okay.
Namibia, Zambia. Yeah, so 64% said yes from the 11 responses we got, and
Okay.
18% said no, and we have 18% saying also I don't know. And
Good.
then for the levy itself, we have less than 1% or equal to 1% being 75%. So that's quite something. And then 25% being between 1% and 2%.
Great.
Great. Yeah.
For those who said no, very few of them, but I don't know whether any of them want to share how the authorities are then funded very briefly, if they are willing.
I can
anyone?
definitely talk about India. So
Great.
in India, it's a government agency fully. So all the costs associated with IRDAI in India comes from the government's budget.
Great. Great. I know there are, in some jurisdictions, there are issues about perceived independence and of the regulator. And then on the other hand, there is the desire for it to be free from the government. And then in some jurisdictions where government fund the budget fully, there are requirements for any surpluses at the end to be returned back to the government chest. So it will be interesting to know if there are, but Renata has a hand up. Renata, you want to speak on this?
Yes, a very short one, Kofi. Hello, Kofi.
Hi, Renata.
Yes. Well, the situation in the CIMA region is a little bit different from other countries. So indeed, there is a levy which insurers must pay to the local national insurance department. However, this levy is now shared amongst the various institutions defined in the CIMA treaty. So this may explain why the levy is a little bit higher in general. Okay, so this makes it quite different. So I saw from Manoj that India, nobody pays, everything is paid by the government. While here in the CIMA region, in 14 countries, it's a little bit different. This levy has to be distributed between the various institutions, such as the Secretarial Office, the International Institute in Yaoundé, providing professional training in the CIMA region, and a part for the local national insurance department. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that insight. That's great. And yes, so we have seen various ways in which supervisory authorities are funded in various jurisdictions. They may come with their own pros and cons. But let's continue with trial land. My focus is still on trial land. Yes, so the head of the Trial Land Insurance Authority is Dr. Marie Sage, and a well-respected professional economist. and the board of 6, 3 of them ex officio government officers, and 3 of them appointed by the minister for a 5-year term. Reading through the case, mainly monetary penalties for non-compliance with laws, and TI has some quite broad powers to order insurance companies to take certain actions or not to take certain actions, or it also enables TIA to take control of insurers under certain conditions, provisions that enables TIA to be in some position to effectively do risk-based supervision. But looking carefully at the situation, there are some issues that we may want to comment on, at least 3 of them here. The first one, the Trial Land Insurance Law defines an insurance policy as a contract between an insurer and a policyholder to indemnify the policyholder. Is there any issue with this definition? This is a definition of the insurance contract in the law. Are there any issues? Anybody want to comment on this definition in the law? Yes, there's a hand up. Go ahead.
Okay, this is Titus. There are certain, there are certain policies whereby the ultimate beneficiary is not the policyholder, but he is the beneficiary. If you talk of group life as an example, the policyholder is the corporate, the employer, but he is not the beneficiary. So I don't know if then this definition sits well. Thank you.
Well, okay. So in the case of group life, yes, it's true the contract is between the insurance company and the policyholder, but the beneficiaries are also defined and room is made for them under the contract. There are some risks there, especially as to the provision of information between the master policyholder and the members of the group. But those are features of group policies, which is very common around inclusive insurance regimes. But yes, there's another issue with this policy definition of insurance contract in the Act. Anybody wants to make another comment on that? Yes, oh, Titus, is it the old hand or you want to make another comment?
No, it's a new hand indeed.
Oh, okay. All right.
Okay. All right. So again, something close to the heart of inclusive insurance is the issue of indemnity versus defined benefits. So usually we favor defined benefit way of compensation. So could that also be the issue? Presenter, Mr. Kofi, kindly confirm. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, so it's the issue about indemnity and how index insurance works. Index insurance is a very popular mechanism used within the inclusive insurance space in a number of ways, not just in agri insurance. And so when there is a strict definition of insurance contract in the law, it creates a problem for inclusive insurance because index insurance doesn't really make whole after a loss. If you understand how index insurance works, I'm sure most of you must have gone through the models, the self-paced models, and must have gone through how index insurance works. There is a case on index insurance that we will look at somewhere during one of the days. But index insurance pays a benefit once a trigger is pulled. Okay, once a trigger is pulled, it is not always that there will certainly be a loss. Once the trigger goes off, a benefit has to be paid. But it's a very effective mechanism that works within the micro insurance space. And so this strict definition of insurance being a contract of indemnity will pose a challenge to index insurance and hence inclusive insurance. Okay. Then the second issue is about the appointment of external auditors and appointed actuaries, which the law says must be approved by the TIA. Anybody wants to comment on that as well? Yes, please. I see 2 hands up. So maybe Harry first, and then I go to Titus.
I will give that participant the opportunity to talk, then I will step in afterwards. It's Titus.
Titus, yeah.
It's mine, I think. Titus put down. Yes, just an observation with regard to that. External auditor, you need to be qualified actuary per se. Normally, the legislation will state appointed actuary is kind of vague. It can be somebody with an actual degree, but not qualified with the necessary bodies. So the law will prescribe whatever is equivalent in the jurisdiction. So it says there must be a qualified actuary from XYZ jurisdiction. There need to be reciprocity, so that your regulator must recognize the equivalent from the other side. So this is my, similarly with external auditor, you need to be qualified with the accountancy bodies and anything that you need to have appropriate experience and so on, but the qualification may be qualified. Not necessarily to have it. Otherwise, you say a degree holder, a simple degree holder, a few years experience will come and sign the document. So that will be having more problems than anticipated. So more the qualification experience, the recognition of the professional qualification. That's my observation, Kofi. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Very, very apt observations. Titus, you want to make your comment?
Thank you, Kofi. The issue from my experience has been the pushback from professional bodies that superintend over auditors and actuaries, as the case might be, because the argument is that if the professional body of, for instance, accountants, has qualified you that you can offer audit services to the public, then what is it that the insurance supervisor will do differently or in addition to, so that you qualify to offer to insurance companies? There was a time that we, as a supervisor in Zambia, solved it in a simplistic way to say, indeed, is to confirm that you are qualified and in good standing with your professional body. If I satisfy myself that way as a supervisor, then you are qualified to also do the audits of insurers. But that was a diplomatic way. There should be something in addition that the regulator must add. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Renata, you want to share your view on that? You are muted, just in case you are speaking.
Sorry, I did not realize. Okay, so actually, I agree with a few of the comments I just read in the chat box that fit and proper requirements should be applicable and should be therefore checked by the supervisor. However, with respect of belonging to a professional body, I'm a little bit reluctant because in many countries you do not have yet professional bodies which are checking if one is a qualified actuary or not. And so there I would like to point out that the insurance directive, the Solvency II directive in the European Union does not require that the chief of the actual function should be a qualified actuary. However, it is required that all the key staff members should be fit and proper. So this is where I would like to, want to stop. I believe personally that fit and proper should be checked, but belonging to a professional body, truly, honestly speaking, I don't see the necessity.
Thank you for all the comment and the input. Indeed, the law as read from the case says that the auditors and actuaries have to be approved by the TIA. Indeed, to be good for the approval or the assessment criteria to be made known, so that it is clear there's an objectivity, there's some standard to do the measurement. This, as Renata pointed out, could be done by way of some directive or even in some regulation to point out what kind of requirement are they supposed to meet and how fit and proper. What fit and proper means. You know, in a lot of jurisdictions, our laws say fit and proper, but in practical terms, the insurance industry and the general public don't understand what fit and proper means. It will be a good idea for the regulator to put down their expectations of fitness and propriety and actually publish it, so that when people are being nominated for these positions, they know the expectations of the law and of the regulator, so that they don't put in their applications only to be told that that is what it is. In Ghana, we do have a directive on auditors, which we issued out. In addition to the Institute of the Professional Accountant requirement, we have put some additional requirements because, of course, insurance is quite a technical area, and it's important that the auditors who audit it have appropriate understanding and expertise, because as regulators, we depend on the auditors to validate the account. We use the figures to do our analysis and take supervisory decisions. Technically, we are not responsible for validating them. So it is important to ensure that those who do the validation have the expertise and the skill, so that we can rely on their report and use it for our analysis. And indeed, I am grateful for all the comments in the chat box. Yes, this is a very common practice in a lot of jurisdictions, but it would be good, and I know some of you already do have it, to actually publish the fitness and propriety criteria or requirement, so that the company, the industry, and the public know exactly what we mean by that and why it is necessary. There's a third one, but I think we are running out of time. So there is a third item about the conformance to international standards for insurance supervision. So as much as possible, we know that the IAIS has insurance core principles, ICPs, on a number of key issues, which is supposed to guide how insurance supervisory authorities do certain things. And it is important that whereas the breach of certain laws under some circumstances may result in imposition of penalties, usually there are very broad provisions for correction and enforcement, which provides the supervisory authority room that insurance companies take appropriate steps to correct or improve governance or internal controls, instead of just insisting on penalties. Penalties may be a penalty for a breach, but may not necessarily address the weakness that exists. And so it is important that the law contains appropriate provisions that gives the regulatory authority some power, some leeway, some room to guide the regulated entities to improve internal controls, take corrective actions, and remedy the situation as it is. Okay, so let's move on. We are still on trial land, and there are recent developments the economy is slowing down because some things have happened and there is a slowdown in the economy. This is not expected to last that long. It is expected that in about 12 months, there will be a rebound and things will probably improve. The government has promised improved telecommunication connectivity in the rural areas. So if you remember, the telecommunication is really great only around the main town and in the rural areas where about 80% of the people live. The mobile connectivity is very poor, and there is a promise from the government to deal with it. There is action from the insurance companies to introduce some products to suit the seasonal workers. And of course, there's an election that is coming up. And this is a very important issue because, as you would see, this case is about the new government. The new government came as a result of the election. We know, I mean, at this stage that the government did lose the election. A new government came in, and some changes are about to happen, and that is where we are supposed to advise and make our recommendations. And so we will take a look at that in a couple of slides. Now the insurance industry in Trallaland, 25 insurers, but 3 of particular interest have been presented in the case. The Trallaland Financial, which is the largest with reputation and stability. This is mainly government-owned. It's been there for quite some time, and so it has some trust and goodwill in the industry. It's a general insurer, but has a life subsidiary also. Very typical, you would find this in a number of jurisdictions. Then there's the New World, which is the second largest, working on a new strategy to be the industry disruptor. That's what this company is hoping to do. It's talking about new distribution channels and new products, such as parametric crop insurance. And it also has an asset concentration challenge. And then there's Friendly Life, which is a small life insurer. It's so small that it could not meet the requirement of the new risk-based capital, and so had to be given some transitional relief to be able to transit and meet the requirement. These are important considerations that we need to. But looking at the demography, the geography, the economic infrastructure of Trallaland so far, are there any basic aspects that might hinder inclusive insurance, might make inclusive insurance challenging? Again, we share a couple of comments or views here. We've looked at the political, the economic, the infrastructure, the industry, and of course the law of insurance law, the regulatory infrastructure and regime. Are there any concerns about challenges to inclusive insurance? Any comment, any views? Let's share some comment. The house is quiet.
There's Alma raising her hand.
Oh, okay. Alma, please. After you, I'll go to Renata. Alma, please go ahead.
Okay, in the description, there was limited telephone coverage or ability to do that, so that the biggest disruptor would have issues with it. And if you are looking at index insurance and crop insurance and agricultural insurance, I didn't see anything in that with respect to data that will be used to deal with that product, or what would be the trigger to have that product accessible. Well, one, accessible, and 2, it would be what would be the triggers, because for most of it, we would use satellite data, weather instruments and that, and there was no information in respect to that.
Okay, those are very great comments. Thank you for that. Yes, Renata, you have comment.
Well, with respect of the comments, I believe that already was mentioned the poor internet connection or mobile phone reach out outside main town. And this is, of course, a hurdle if you want to access people who are not living in the city. And 80% of the people are not living in the city, in the main town. Then I think that you mentioned that various occasions illiteracy. So this is also a hurdle. Then you mentioned somewhere that the young population is very well educated, but there may be some issues with senior persons in the society. So yeah, there need to the TIA needs to do some groundwork before moving forward to make it work. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Thank all of you. So we have the large number of seasonal workers who earn only seasonal incomes, the literacy levels being low, the poor mobile phone connectivity, even the definition of indemnity, the insurance contract as a contract of indemnity, that would be a major barrier or challenge. And then the elderly women who tend to be excluded from the insurance market. So there are quite a number of issues there that will pose a challenge to inclusive insurance market in Trallaland. Thank you for those comments. So yes, these are some comments, the large number of seasonal where we've gone through these. And so you want to. Now we are heading towards the case study. Of course, we know with hindsight that the elections were held and the government lost the election. There is a new government in place. There is a new finance minister, and he has plans to make some changes to and grow the economy. So the minister is open to keeping, adjusting, or canceling old policies, but they seek new exciting initiatives to take the country forward. That is very interesting. One thing the government wants to do, the minister identified the key campaign promises made included important effort to grow the economy. In particular, the promise to invest in a highway infrastructure was highlighted. The minister contrasted the new government approach to financing this investment by looking to have insurance companies invest a minimum proportion of their assets in government bonds as responsible compared to former government plan to raise taxes. So this finance minister is saying that there's the need to build new road infrastructure, to build a lot of things. And instead of the former approach of just increasing taxes to do this, why don't all insurance companies, or why are insurance companies not compelled to invest a certain percentage of their funds in government bonds so that the government could borrow money from there to develop the infrastructure that they promised? Some concerns were raised, and this is the minister's response. I think everyone expects the insurance sector to play a greater role in our financial sector. I would have expected our plans for them would be well received, and I'll be looking for the TIA to play a greater role in seeing the sector develop as all we need so that the economy sees the benefits. So this minister and the government are bent on compelling insurance companies to invest at least a certain percentage of their assets in government bonds so the government can use it to build the necessary infrastructure as contained in their campaign or their manifesto. Now, the issue here is that what are the advantages and disadvantages of this policy? again, let's share some quick comments and then we'll make some progress. What are your thoughts on this policy and approach by the minister? You could share your thoughts in the chat box, or you could just raise your hand and share your thoughts, advantages and the possible dangers that this policy could bring the insurance sector. Yes. So I see. So Ama, please go ahead and share your thoughts.
One of the advantages and disadvantages at the same time would be investment in the government bonds. It can bring some, it can allow insurance companies to invest, but the amount of investment would have to be carefully monitored, especially if the government is not stable. When there is a stable economy, it's okay. You may have a good rate of return. You have to also look at asset liability matching, whether that would be an issue depending on the type of company and how long the bonds are for. So those are two considerations to look at.
Great. Thank you. Any additional comment? Anybody wants to share an additional comment so that we move on?
I saw Shikesho had raised his hand. Does he?
Oh, okay.
Lazarus.
Shikesho, please go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, Alma covered a lot of my points, but I was going to say advantages. Of course, insurers are large institutional investors in any country. So a policy like that would help with sort of local economic development, using the funds pooled by the insurers to help develop the local economy and sort of infrastructure development, as opposed to things like external debt, which can be quite costly from a country perspective.
Okay. Thank you. So those would be the advantages, maybe ready market for the government borrowing. So the advantage from the government side, readily accessible, maybe cheap borrowing from the industry. For the industry, there may be seemingly low risk investment, but it may not quite be, because there's the credit and the political risk of the government as well. In a lot of emerging markets, the issue of debt sustainability, sorry, there's the issue of debt sustainability, where governments have borrowed money beyond sustainable levels, and there are difficulties with making good interest and principal repayment of those debt. And if the insurance companies are compelled to invest in those, then they could have market risks and solvency issues. Of course, if there is a risk-based capital regime, then the credit risk, the capital for credit risk requirement is going to go up, and this may not necessarily work well. And so there are the risk side to it, that the credit and political risk of the government and the debt levels of the government may turn out to bite the industry if they are compelled to do this. And this has actually happened in a number of emerging, especially post-COVID. We have seen a number of emerging economies where the government have reneged. The government has defaulted in paying, making good payment on bonds and coupons. And so this should be a very careful decision, carefully managed, balance the benefits with the costs and the risk involved.
Copy, we have one more hand up.
Okay.
Temba, yeah.
Temba, please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think it's actually been ably answered. For me, the minister pronouncing himself like that means more like a policy direction. So then the regulator would want to throw it to industry, and to a very large extent, most developing markets wouldn't want to be at loggerheads with the government. So it's more like it's got a disadvantage of wanting to align yourself to the new government, and by doing so, you might make wrong investment decisions, all because you want to be in line with the current government. Remember, these are people that might give you business eventually, or they might look like when it's time for you, for example, to there are reporting lines sometimes where the regulator asks you to report to the minister if your license, for example, is rejected and so on. So you want to have a good relationship with the minister. And so the minister pronouncing himself that way might have some influence, and it might not be good on an investment front. So that's, at least it had been mentioned already by Kofi. Thanks.
Great. Just a comment, just coming, TIA is not an asset manager of the country, should be independent of the operations of the insurance industry. But the main point we have made, there could be possible benefits to the government and to the industry, but there are also risks, especially on the risk of default by the government that needs to be paid attention to. Thank you for those spirited contributions to the discussion. We are running out of time, and so I'm skipping a couple of the slides. So we go straight into the case study, and because we will need to spend some time in the breakout rooms to do some discussion and then come back and finish it off. So in the module, you were asked to assess the minister's proposition. This minister has invited the head of TIA, Dr. Sage, for a possible meeting, and you have been asked to prepare a briefing for your head of the TIA for the meeting, and list a number of issues that could be possibly subject for discussion, and select one or two issues that you would like to advance. This was a task given you in the self-paced study model that you did, and so we will come back to it as part of the discussions that we will do. But in the breakout rooms now, what we are going to do, we are going to spend some 20 minutes. We are going to select the most significant issues that you would like to advance to create a convincing proposal to it. Remember, we are supposed to create a burning platform. We have gone through the action planning methodology. We know what a burning platform is and what it means, something that will kick anybody to jump into action. So we are supposed to create a burning platform and come back and make a 2-minute elevator pitch to kick some action. And so the issues that we are going to create. 1 minute. Yeah. So we are supposed to create the problem statement, consider how it creates a burning platform to motivate the need for change, and consider how it creates a burning platform for the TIA as well. There are 4 issues that have been provided here. The first one is the role and objectives of the Triral Land Insurance Authority, the hurricane preparedness, a mandate for the authority on the development of micro insurance or inclusive insurance, and then the need for the government to address the lack of insurance awareness. Of course, the low level of awareness that we talked about. In the various breakout rooms, these issues, so in group 1, we'll be looking at the issue of the role and objectives of Trial Land. In group 2, we'll look at the hurricane preparedness. Group 3 will be looking at the issue of inclusive insurance, and in Group 4, we'll be looking at insurance awareness. We are supposed to develop the create a burning platform and come back to make a 2-minute pitch on why the issues assigned to us are critical and why action is needed. Monica, any instructions before we go into the breakout rooms?
Yes. So when you go into the rooms, we've assigned you to the rooms. We'll just take you to the rooms in a few seconds. When you get into the rooms, I would like to urge us all to turn on our videos if we can, so that we can really engage one another. And also, I'd also like to just urge us to try and actively participate as much as we can, but also that we can designate a note taker, somebody who will be taking the notes on the points that we'll be discussing, and also designate a presenter, somebody who will present on behalf of the group when we come back to the plenary session. So the breakout rooms will be 20 minutes, and you can have this in a Word document, in a PowerPoint document. You can be able to share this. We can show you how to share it, or you can also just put it in the chat and we can be able to share it on your behalf. But I think it will be easier if you share your screens. Renata? You've raised your hand.
Yes, sorry, sorry. It's because I'm not English speaking that I still don't understand what is the meaning of a burning platform. Can you describe that? Because I tried to translate in French and it didn't say anything.
Okay. So a burning platform is a situation that requires urgent and immediate action. Okay, so remember you are on a platform on, say, the ocean, and that platform catches fire. That platform is burning. What do you need to do? The immediate action is to jump off. So it is to create an urgent and immediate need for action to be taken. So you're supposed to build your pitch in such a way as to kick the minister into seeing the need to take immediate action.
Okay, thank you. Okay, good.
Great. Titus?
Okay.
Titus, I can see your hand up.
Yes, thank you, Monica. If you can also briefly explain the role of assuming you yourself, Monica, you find yourself in a group. What is your role? And the same applies to presenters or the team, the facilitators, so that we can give the opportunity to the enrolled students to make the most of the cases themselves. Because if we do not explain our role, we may again take center stage when in fact the students must get more involved. I hope I've made sense, Monica.
Yeah, you have made sense, and you have sort of explained it also as you've made sense. Definitely, if you find yourself in the room, each one of us will be in the different rooms, but really it's an opportunity for all of us to discuss, but mostly for the participants to discuss and give out their points. But that does not stop the presenters and all of us from participating in the discussions, but definitely we give more room to the participants to discuss and give some sort of guidance or add to the thinking. That's what I would say would be our role. Yes.
Great. Usually it would be good for us, the resource persons, to guide the group to elect someone who will lead the discussion, another person who will take down the notes and come back and do the presentation. So we're supposed to guide them through the process.
Yes, yes. So now I think if you don't have any more questions or clarifications you're seeking, I think we will now take you to the breakout rooms.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. And Renata, you'll find yourself in the breakout rooms with the...
So I think we will just go from group to group. The instruction said a 2-minute pitch. And so indeed, that is what we will have, 2 minutes per group. And we'll have to make a pitch, and then we'll go. So for group 1, is a 2-minute pitch on the role and objective of the TIA. For group 2, on hurricane preparedness for TIA. Group 3 is a mandate for development of inclusive insurance, and for group 4, the need to work on insurance awareness. And so remember, 2 minutes each, 120 seconds, and so that because we are already out of time. So let's start with group 1. Group 1 spokesperson, please, you have 2 minutes. We start counting.
I think I was in group 1, but we concentrated more on the group 3 assignment somehow. So for some reason, we concentrated.
Okay, go ahead and do a presentation on the pitch that you have. Present the pitch that you have.
Okay, so what we have noted from our group is that the fact that the minister wants mandatory insurance for the bond. We thought that is maybe making it the TIA not independent from interference by government. So we said, no, that is not in accordance with ICP2, where regulatory entities should be independent of interference from government. So that was one aspect we noted from there. And also we noted the fact that at least their act is compliant with ICP1. That one was a good thing which we noted. But now, in respect with the hurricane insurance, we think the current definition for microinsurance does not capture index insurance. As such, it needs to be amended. That definition should be amended so that it can also take into account of index insurance. And you know hurricanes are a critical aspect when it comes to index insurance or weather-related insurance. So those were the quick points we managed to put together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You said you tackled the question for group 3. Group 3 was supposed to make a pitch on the mandate for TIA for the development of microinsurance. And so why is it important? Why is it a matter of importance and urgency for TIA to be given a mandate to develop inclusive insurance? I think that is what your pitch. If you say you tackled the group 3 problem, that is what you should have been talking about. The point is that you're going to meet with the minister, or your chief executive is going to meet with the minister, and there are presentations that we are going to make, and you're supposed to make a pitch as to how or why it is urgent and important for TIA to be given the mandate to develop microinsurance. And so we should have built a burning platform, an urgent need for a mandate to develop inclusive insurance. So that's, I don't know whether you have half a minute to indicate whether you discuss something like that.
Can I go? Can I go through?
Yes.
Yes.
Can I go through?
You have half a minute. Please go ahead.
Yes. Okay. So the pitch would go like this. Honorable Minister, firstly, thank you for allowing us to come, and congratulations on the election. Honorable Minister, we feel like you are a very understanding government. So as TIA, we are very, very keen to ensure that inclusive insurance is actually implemented, especially that we have had hurricanes, and you understand that our population has a large number of people that have literacy levels. However, as an authority, we are very keen to see that these people are protected and their livelihood are safeguarded. So we are wasting no time, and so we are trying to implement the best platform, and that would be inclusive insurance regulation. So please, we look forward to your support, sir. Thank you.
Okay,
Was
that's
that
a
1
good
hour?
attempt. That's a good attempt. That's a good attempt. In the interest of time, let's go to group number 2. Group 2 is supposed to be talking about hurricane preparedness. So group 2.
Yes, thank you. We didn't quite get to our speech, but it would go something like this. So we're discussing the importance of hurricane preparedness for the Tralaland Insurance Authority. And right off the bat, it is vitally important that there's a framework and a structure in place that the Tralaland Insurance Authority is prepared for any hurricane or any natural disaster. Why is that? Because if you look at the economic structure, economic setup of Tralaland, there's 80% dependent on agriculture, huge reliance on the tourism sector, and as part of the machinery that helps that work, there's important railway and road infrastructure. Any hurricane would devastate this road infrastructure, would devastate the crop farming, and would leave people very food insecure, especially if you consider 80% of the population is in rural areas. Now, specifically on the insurance sector, which the authority is responsible for, considering that this is the sector that should provide the cover for any damages to physical property, there would also be an additional hardship on this sector, which could result in solvency issues, in the insurers not being able to meet all the liabilities that come through, the claims that come through. There would be, of course, a huge number of complaints from a consumer protection perspective, and this could impact trust. There's also an impact on uptake of the insurance when people are food insecure because of the devastation that happens from the hurricane, whether there would be any appetite for people to take up any insurance products. And specifically then speaking to us as the regulator, any hurricane, of course, would devastate our ability to effectively supervise this sector, which is of vital importance to the economy. And again, it would impact things like trust and confidence in the sector, which could have long-lasting effects on ensuring that our insurance sector is safe, sound, and stable, which is what the law empowers the regulator to do. So that is our pitch.
Thank you. That was a very good attempt to pitch. That was great. Thank you. Let's go to group 4. Group 4, you're supposed to make a pitch on the need for or to the government to address lack of insurance awareness. 2 minutes. Start counting, please.
Thank you for the opportunity. Our pitch revolves around a critical challenge that we've observed in Tralaland, which essentially is a lack of insurance awareness amongst its citizens, and in particular, those in rural and low-income areas, which we've also already identified as 80% of the population. The issue with this is because these citizens, without an appropriate understanding of insurance, they are very vulnerable to any risks, so they're vulnerable to any financial or other types of risks. For example, and just following on from what Chikesho had mentioned regarding the impact that a climate risk event can have on them. So the allowing or not ensuring that these citizens have appropriate awareness for the insurance programs robs them of opportunity to be able to make an informed decision. We also highlighted the fact that there are various contributing factors to this. From our end, we saw that it was insufficient government initiatives and education campaigns. There are limited access to healthcare facilities in rural areas. There's also a very deep-rooted misconception about insurance, and this in particular will destroys trust within the financial sector, which is very important for insurance to actually be profitable. We need to ensure that citizens are aware of what insurance can provide them in the long term, and the benefits that are associated with that. Our suggestion in terms of recommendations is for there to be a national insurance or nationwide insurance awareness campaign. This will allow the government to ensure that citizens are equipped with the appropriate knowledge to make informed financial decisions. This will also allow them to be able to be more financially resilient, which would also place less reliance on the government for aid or assistance during crisis. And through this or these national campaigns, we have identified potential community leaders and NGOs that we have identified as trusted individuals who would be able to help champion this message and allow us to, or allow the government to be able to transmit this financial knowledge to its citizens.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you to all the groups. I think that you have made good attempt at creating the pitches. When you are creating a burning platform, there are two things that you need to take care of. Why is that? Why is what you are talking about a problem? And why does urgent action have to be taken? The second aspect is that how is it a problem, or why is it relevant for the person to whom you are making the pitch? So this is the Prime Minister. Why is hurricane preparedness of interest to him? He's a politician, and his primary objective is to win election. And if the hurricane preparedness is good, and there is a hurricane and most of the citizens are able to quickly recover, that's inures to his benefit. Why is a mandate for development of inclusive insurance of interest to the minister? What is it of what interest is it to his political career as a politician? And what would insurance awareness do to the political career of the Prime Minister? So while we hammer on the urgent, why it is a problem and how urgent it is, we also need to come from the point of view of who we are making the pitch to. Because remember, it is a burning platform. Objective to kick the person into action. Okay, something is to kick him into action immediately. And so whilst we emphasize on the urgency, we also emphasize on why it is relevant to the person to whom we are. And so we must always be conscious of the interest of the person we are making the pitch to. And in the stakeholder analysis, you would see from the action planning methodology you see in the stakeholder analysis, it is always important to come from the point of view of the stakeholder that you are talking about or you are addressing. And so good input from all of you. Just a quick, so in your self-paced learning, you were asked to list issues, possible issues for briefing. And these are suggested issues that you could have talked about. The role and objective of the TIA, which is one of the issues we have talked about. The summary of current financial situation of the industry, the microinsurance, the need to develop a microinsurance regime, the current capacity of the TIA, amendment recommendations for amendment to the Insurance Act, which we have looked at. There are several issues that need urgent attention there. Of course, the board of the TIA definition of insurance contract, which seems to be a challenge for index or parametric insurance, is an issue. The need for powers to implement things like a sandbox to be able to encourage and promote innovation, capital requirements, improving the microinsurance regulations. So there are many issues that you could put on the briefing list for the chief executive to raise with the minister. And so in the interest of time, this is where we will stop. If there are any questions before I hand over to Monica, I will take them. Okay. I don't seem to have any hand up. So we have just about 10 minutes to run. So I'll hand over to Monica at this stage.
Wow, thank you so much, Kofi. Maybe from using our reactions button, please do react. Tell me how you feel about today, the session today. How do you feel about it? Was it worth your time? Did you enjoy it? Will you be there on Thursday? I can see thumbs up. Great. Oh, I can see a heart. Great. Thank you. That gives me hope. Great, great,
Monica,
great. Yes.
Monica,
Yes, Harry.
don't forget to tell the participant to fill in the survey form
Yes.
before they leave. So at least we know, get a feedback. How
Yeah.
was the session? Where we can improve? Anything
Yes.
that we like to draw attention. But it's important each time we have a program. At the end of the day, before you leave, fill in the detail of the survey to get a better feedback. Thank you very much. Monica, would you need for show you the link? Thank you.
Okay, yeah. So we are putting up the QR code and the link right now for you to be able to do the survey. I'll take just 5 minutes, give you 5 minutes. So let just a minute, we're putting up the presentation. Share. Day 2. Okay. Just sometimes it takes time for Teams to change the windows. But in the meantime, we can actually share the link in the chat if it's not loading. So we will be doing this every day, just to get feedback on the sessions. Okay, so as we put up the link, I just wanted to touch on a few things. I think practically from the discussions, you've actually seen how important it is. Like whatever content you're discussing here today is so much aligned with whatever you're already doing in the self-paced modules. And so just to, there's the link and there's the QR code. If you could quickly just do this, it's very short. I think it's just about 3 or 4 questions. So we can quickly get it done. Maybe let me give you 3 minutes. This is a very important